This is the third portion of Radolec's comprehensive tutorial for the Radon Report Manager software. By now, you should be thoroughly familiar with the setup and inventory windows, which we discussed in the previous two tutorials. As we're inching ever closer to actually creating a radon test record, one more hurdle still stands in our way: the customer data window. It's here where we'll learn how to add a new customer to our database, find an existing customer, and search for radon test records pertaining to a specific customer or company. If you haven't already done so, from the main menu, let's click on the Customer Data button. We'll separate this window into two parts: an upper menu bar of sorts, which has two drop-down boxes and 4 buttons, and a lower data window, which has a list of empty fields under the General Info tab, and another tab called Batches, which is currently empty. Let's make sure that we're in the General Info tab of the data window. Then proceed to Add a Customer. Because the fields are already empty, we don't need to click the New button. We can just type in the information of a fictitious customer name and company. Once we're finished doing this, let's quickly add another customer to practice how we can look up existing customers by either their names or companies. I won't fill out all of the data fields for this new guy, just a name. After that's finished, I'll head up to the Lookup By drop-down box, which has defaulted to Name. This means that we'll be looking for our customers based on their given personal names rather than their company names. If we select the Find drop-down box, we'll notice that we see Joe Somebody. If we click on him, the database will load his record. We can also look up our customers by their company names if we select Company in the Lookup By drop-down box. In place of Joe's name, we'll now find Bayou Inspections, the only company in our still rather lonely database. But we do have a second customer lurking around, although we didn't give him a company name. Let's find him and load him up by selecting Name again from the Lookup By drop-down box. After we've loaded our customer, let's delete him now by clicking on the Delete Customer button. We'll receive a warning message letting us know that deleting this customer will also delete his entries from all of our old test records. Therefore, this option should be carefully considered. This happens because all changes to a given customer are retroactively applied throughout the entire database. If we were to change Bayou Inspections' phone number, for example, this new information would reflect across all of their customer records. Likewise, if we remove that customer from the database, all of the records will still exist, but they'll be without a customer. Because of this, delete cautiously and with restraint. And as I had just mentioned editing a customer's information, let's practice that real quickly. If we load up Joe Somebody with Bayou Inspections, you'll notice that his data fields are gray. This means that they're locked to prevent accidental data entry. In order to unlock the record, we'll need to click on the Edit button. Now we can change his phone number, or any other field for that matter. And that almost wraps up the customer data window. The sole remaining feature is in the Batches tab, which will allow us to look up all records pertaining to a specific customer. Now, technically, we haven't entered any test records into our database yet, but that wouldn't allow us to see how this feature functions. So, while I was speaking, I hastily created 3 test records with Bayou Inspections as the customer. Now, if we click on the Batches tab, we'll be able to see them. They'll be identified by a batch number and a site location. Also, if you click on the little binocular button to the left of the batch number field, we'll be able to load up that specific record. If you're trying to track down all records associated with a specific customer, this is probably the best way to do it. Coincidentally, it also concludes this portion of the tutorial. To be honest, there's not much else that you can do from this window, but it's still important to know nonetheless. We've learned how to create and delete customers, look up customers by their given names or company names, how to edit an existing customer's data, and how to look up all test records associated with a specific record. We can exit out of the customer data window and head back to the main menu by clicking on the Save and Close button. At long last, we're now ready to learn how to create a radon test record, but that'll have to wait until our next tutorial.